Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about this little thing that I've been struggling with for a very long time, and I actually had a conversation about it with my friend yesterday, and it got me thinking about how I need to make a video on it because it is something that I have to kind of face and integrate into my life every single day, and I think that it's something every single person should try to integrate into their lives as well, because it's actually a very, very hard thing to do. And it's necessary to be able to consistently rely on yourself and to be able to accomplish like virtually anything in your life. So this concept is the concept of having faith, right? And it's extremely hard to have faith in something or to trust in something when we don't know whether it's going to yield the results that we want. And that's the thing, that's the definition of the word faith. It's very, very up in the air. It's putting all of your eggs in a basket that is invisible. It is literally trusting in something that you don't even know will materialize. And that is why it is so crucial, and that is why it is so important, and that is why it is so powerful. The intention that we carry when we have faith in something is strong because it has no choice but to be strong. It has nothing backing itself up for it to stand on its own. And so that, in a sense, the energy, the intention of having faith in a person, having faith in a situation, having faith in yourself is strength in its very core, at its very finest. And it's necessary that we do this, that we have this kind of faith, because whatever it is, whether it be like a job or a relationship or another person or ourselves, if we don't take the time to first place trust in it, or to first have faith in it, the possibility of what it could potentially be will not reveal itself to us completely. It takes a certain amount of investment into something for that thing to yield the same results. That's how it is for everything in life, right? Like everything is a give-take sort of exchange. Whether it be effort in a relationship or like virtually anything, it will give you back what you put in. This is the law of the universe. And it holds the same for even like if you're working on yourself and you're trying to have faith in yourself to do something like the way I am right now, like YouTube, for example. This is pretty difficult for me. Like it may not seem like it, or it may, I don't know. The nature of having faith in oneself is something that is not really discussed ever. It's more so played off as like self-confidence or like flexing on other people, especially with like our age, right, in social media. It's just very, very easy to confuse self-confidence and self-love. It's very easy because it's one thing to have faith in yourself, and it's one thing to align yourself with what it is that you want to do in your life and not care at all about what other people think. And it's another thing to, flex on people for the purpose of flexing on people. And I do both. Like, it's very obvious the difference. And so when we realize that it's inherently not the same thing, self-love is not self-confidence. Self-confidence is something that feeds the ego and is a cycle. Because you want to keep feeding the ego. The ego never stops being hungry. That's the nature of the ego. It just wants to absorb. And so that sort of notion of being self-confident and posting selfies online and all that stuff, it's good. It's healthy. It's healthy in moderation, as all things are. But at the same time, it is a stark difference from being inherently very, very much aware of who it is that you are intrinsically. And this self-awareness goes hand in hand with self-love. They can't be separated. Because when you are so aware of the person that you are on a soul level, you can't even feed the ego anymore. You don't care about feeding the ego. You don't care about making sure that other people see you in a certain way, because you know who it is that you are. And with that being said, you also can distinctly tell the difference between feeding your ego and feeding your soul, right? We flex a lot, okay? Like in our society, we flex so much. It's so natural to flex because everywhere we go, it's all about how do you look to other people? And it's all about how do other people look to you. It's a constant cycle of judgment. Our society has been brought up and trained from the very beginning to judge from a very external point of view, to judge other people in a way that highlights their differences from you rather than your similarities between yourselves. And it's toxic. And I think that the moment that we as a collective, especially young people, start to realize that feeding the ego is temporary and it's a continuous cycle and it can't really ever be satisfied, right? I mean, with money, with a good stable career, even with a relationship, with a success, like in all aspects of your life, if the soul is not fed, it will forever be hungry, right? And as a result, we can have every single material thing that we ever want, but we will be unhappy because inherently there is something missing. There is some blank space that is not being filled that needs to be filled. And that area is truth. In all of its capacity, it's truth. It's lack of connection with self that causes that blank space. It's lack of connection with, your higher self or source or God or whatever it is that you want to call it that causes that blank space. It's this need to be loved and to love. Think about it. That is our innate nature as human beings, to love and to be loved. We are not here for any other sort of gratification. Money, power, like you can have all the money in the world, right? And be miserable because it's not about the things that you can't take with you when you die. It's about the things that you can. And the things that you can have to do with your energy, with your essence, with the thing that travels with you and the thing that you carry with you lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. It doesn't cease to exist. It's your energy. It's your prana. It's your soul. You can call it whatever name that you want to call it. It is that which is eternal. And that which is eternal is always linked with more that is eternal. Because we are not the individual, right? We have this very individualistic perspective. Our whole society is so focused on ego gratification. And we don't even realize that we're doing it. And so people wonder, why they're so angry, why they're so insecure, because you're comparing yourself to another person based on how they look, and based on how you look, and based on what they have and what you have and don't have, and all of this material stuff, right? Again, you're feeding the ego. The ego is hungry. You're unsatisfied. You feed it. It's a cycle. How do we break out of this cycle? Okay. So the way in which we attempt to break this constant, feud and struggle that we have internally is attempting to fill that void within ourselves. How do we do this? We do this by realizing that we have to, number one. We do this by realizing that we have to, because we cannot be happy in any other way. If you study any practice of religion or any practice of philosophy, the number one driving point is peace. All you need on a soul level is inherently that satisfaction of connection with source, with that which is truth. And how do we go about doing this? Well, first of all, again, you have to realize that you need it. And number two, after we admit this, we begin to search, right? We begin to search for essence, for truth, for meaning. And people do this by traveling. They do this by studying different bouts of philosophy. And there are different things that work for different people. But it is the search that is necessary. And at the end of the day, what a lot of people come to realize, great scholars and even entrepreneurs and self-realized people, they come to understand that everything that they've been looking for has always been inside of themselves, right? It's always been right at the place where they started. From the moment we're born, our connection with matter, our instant contact with matter, yields to us this development of an ego. We begin to develop an ego self from the second we're born. It continues, right, throughout our lives. And that's why, if you notice, children are so innocent and so pure. If you talk to a kid They'll be so honest with you. You know, they won't mask anything that they're feeling or thinking because they don't know how. They don't have an ego yet. They don't know what it's like to be dishonest with another person. And when we can keep that childlike purity of self and honesty with self and others, combined with self-realization and emotional maturity, we become self-actualized. We keep the innocence and we keep the knowledge that we've learned throughout our lives, and we combine them and we direct ourselves as such. So in this way, we begin to look inward, right? The searching process. And to do this is to practice, practices of meditation, to read books, to become very comfortable with yourself that you can sit down and film a video and potentially put this on the internet, but it's fine because you know that you have to do it. It's realizing your life path. It's spending time alone. It's spending time off of your phone. It's spending time in conjunction with yourself, in great conjunction with yourself, in discussion with yourself, in writing, in attributing time and effort and energy into actually thinking. Do you know how rare it is that people think nowadays? Do you know how rare it is? We're always doing this. If we're alone with ourselves, we're not really alone because we're on our phones. And so inherently we're attempting to interact with the outside world once more in order to feed our ego selves or to become entertained for a split second, because we don't know how to entertain ourselves on our own. It just boils down to the fact that there is a lot more than we think there is. There is a lot more intrinsically than we think. And there is a whole internal world that we don't even take into consideration a lot of the time. And people who pray, people who are religious, that's a form of connecting with self. Meditation is a form of connecting with self. Writing in your journal is a form of connecting with self. Spending time alone, taking out all electronics, or even just sitting down to talk to yourself like the way I'm doing right now, is spending time with yourself and connecting. And we begin to realize truth if we begin to seek for it. It's just if you look for something, you become automatically more magnetically attuned to finding that thing. Because you're seeking it, you're looking for it. You want it, right? And because you want it, you perform the necessary tasks that are required to get there. It's not a hard concept. And people call this the law of attraction. You can call it whatever it is that you want to call it. But the nature of the universe is magnetic. If you want something, you do the internal work, right? The wishing, the needing, the yearning on a soul energetic level, paired with the external work. So the actual getting up and doing the thing, the actual putting effort into changing the way your life has been playing out thus far. And it's necessary because it keeps us on this constant path of evolution. It keeps us on this constant path of checking ourselves and making sure that we're doing everything that we should be doing on an internal and external level. And it doesn't allow for us to be lying to ourselves in any way. It keeps us extremely aware, and when we are extremely aware, we have nowhere to go but up. So, thank you so much for watching. This video was rather long, but I hope you appreciated it. If you do, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. And thank you so much for watching.
Nothing feels better than this.